Welcome to my channel, Starlight Sci-Fi. Stories, thanks for watching, please. Like and subscribe. Ellis Carter believed the most peaceful place in the galaxy was also the most forgotten one. His apartment proved the theory perfectly. Outside his window, the orbital city of High Ring floated silently above a blue ocean planet. Thousands of shining platforms circled the world like a silver halo. Ships moved through space in glowing lines of traffic. Cargo freighters drifted slowly toward docking. Towers, passenger shuttles flashed bright navigation lights as they climbed toward the stars. To most people, High Ring was a masterpiece of civilization. To Elias Carter, it was simply where the rent was cheap. Inside his apartment, things looked very different from the polished corridors outside. The room was filled with old machines. Real machines. Metal fans hummed on the walls. Thick cables ran across the floor like sleeping snakes. Several heavy monitors sat on a scratched desk, glowing softly with lines of code. Nothing in the room connected to the city network. Not the lights, not the door, not even the toaster. Ellis liked it that way. Modern technology was too smart. Smart devices listened. Smart homes watched. Smart systems reported everything back to corporate networks. But Ella's machines were dumb, beautifully, wonderfully dumb. He leaned back in his chair and stretched. The screen in front of him displayed a messy block of programming code that refused to behave. Come on, Elias muttered. The computer responded with a loud mechanical beep. Don't beep at me, he said. I'm trying to help you. The computer beeped again. Ilya sighed and reached for his coffee mug. The mug had once been white. Now it looked like it had survived several small wars. Outside the window, a long passenger cruiser glided past the station ring. Its engines glowed blue as it prepared to jump into faster than light travel. Thousands of passengers, thousands of stories. Meanwhile, Ellis Carter spent his nights arguing with old computers. He didn't mind. Quiet life was good life. He glanced at the wall clock. 11:58 p.m., almost midnight. Then something unusual happened. Someone knocked on his door. Ellis froze. He stared toward the hallway. Nobody knocked anymore. People used door signals, digital calls, or holographic messages. Even delivery drones opened doors automatically with access codes. But knocking, that was ancient. The sound came again. Knock, knock. Ilya slowly stood. Well, he muttered, that's suspicious. His door didn't have a smart lock. It had a handle. He walked across the room and opened it and immediately forgot how breathing worked. Standing in the hallway was an alien, not unusual on Halcyon Ring, except this alien was 3 m tall. Her skin shimmered like polished silver. Long glowing patterns moved across her arms like flowing light. Her eyes burned bright blue. Behind her, the hallway lights flickered nervously. She looked powerful, dangerous, and extremely worried. Ellis blinked. The alien studied him carefully. Then she spoke in a calm voice. Are you Ellis Carter? He nodded automatically. Yes, she said, as if confirming something important. Then she asked the strangest question Ellis had ever heard. May I hide in your home? Ilya stared at her. His brain attempted several explanations. 1, he was dreaming. 2, this was a prank. 3, reality had broken. He said intelligently. The alien glanced down the hallway. Far away, faint metal footsteps echoed through the corridor. She looked back at They are coming, she said. Quietly, that sentence solved nothing. Who, Ella's asked carefully, are they? Her eyes flashed, the Dominion hunters. Ella's felt a chill. The Dominion was not a small organization. It was an empire, a very angry empire. And apparently their hunters were searching the hallway outside his apartment. Fantastic. Ella's looked past her. The corridor remained empty, but distant footsteps were getting closer. He looked back at the alien, then he stepped aside. Well, he said slowly, my toaster sometimes explodes, but otherwise it's a safe place. The alien immediately entered. Ella's closed the door. The hallway fell silent. Inside the apartment, the alien looked around with deep curiosity. Her glowing eyes moved across the tangled wires, the dusty machines, the thick old monitors. Finally, she said something unexpected. There are no network signals here. Nope. Ella's replied, no sensors. Nope, no surveillance systems. Nope, she looked surprised. You live outside the grid, exactly. For the first time since arriving, the alien relaxed slightly. My name is Commander Lyra, she said. Ella's he replied, but you knew that? Yes. She walked slowly through the room, observing everything. What is all this? Equipment. Old computers. They are ancient. Thank you, she looked at him carefully. You are calm. Oh, I'm definitely not calm, Elia said. My brain is screaming internally. She seemed amused, then her expression darkened. The Dominion fleet is searching for me, she said. Of course. They are. They believe I carry something important. Do you? She held up a small metal object, a data core. It contains proof, she said quietly, that the Dominion plans to destroy 3 inhabited star systems. Alila's blinked. That's extremely illegal. Yes, and they want it back. Yes, and now they're looking for you. Yes. Ella's leaned against the wall. Well, he sighed. This escalated quickly. Outside the apartment, heavy boots suddenly echoed in the hallway. Dominion hunters. Lyra's eyes sharpened. They are close. Elilas looked around his messy room. Old wires, broken radios, ancient signal transmitters. Then he smiled. Good. Lyra frowned. Good. Elilas pointed at his machines. Because none of this makes sense to modern scanners. She slowly understood. You are invisible. Pretty much. Boot stopped outside the door. A deep mechanical voice echoed through the hallway. Search every room. Lyra tensed. Ella's calmly sat down at his desk. Relax, he said. You're safe here. Outside, Dominion soldiers scanned every signal on the floor, every apartment, every network node, every smart device. But Elias Carter's home produced only chaotic electrical noise from another century. To the scanners, it looked like junk, and the Dominion hunters moved on. Lyra stared at Ella's in disbelief. You just hit a wanted alien commander using broken electronics. Elia shrugged. Turns out being technologically stubborn has advantages. Lyra slowly smiled. For the first time in days, she felt safe, but neither of them realized something important. The Dominion hunters had not given up. They were only getting started, and soon the quiet human apartment would become the center of a galactic storm. Morning arrived slowly on High-End Ring. Sunlight from the planet below reflected through the massive station windows, painting golden lines across the towers and docking platforms. Ships moved through the sky like schools of metal fish. Inside Ella's Carter's apartment, morning began with a violent sound. Z. Ella slapped his alarm clock. The noise stopped instantly. Across the room, Commander Lyra lifted her head from the couch. You use a physical alarm, she asked. Yes. Why? My phone once locked itself during an update for 6 hours, she considered. That seems inefficient. It was traumatic. Lyra stood and stretched. Her tall, silver form nearly touched the ceiling. She glanced toward the window. Station outside had already awakened. Traffic drones zipped through the air. Lanes, cargo ships slowly rotated toward docking towers. Life continued normally, but somewhere out there, Dominion hunters were still searching. You helped me hide, Lyra said quietly. Yes. Why? Alila's walked to the kitchen and activated the coffee machine. The device immediately began making loud, threatening noises. Lyra watched cautiously. Is it supposed to sound like that? Yes, it's expressing emotions. She looked concerned. Ella's handed her mug. She took a careful sip. Her eyes widened slightly. This is surprisingly good. I trained the machine well. They sat at the small table for a moment. Neither spoke. Then Lyra placed the metal data core on the table. This information must reach the Galactic Council, she said. What happens if it doesn't? 3 star systems will be erased. Ella's nodded slowly. That sounds bad. Very. He leaned back. So what's the plan? Lyra hesitated. My ship was destroyed, escaping Dominion space. Unfortunate. And the Dominion fleet now controls the station. Also unfortunate. They sat silently for several seconds. Finally, Elia said something unexpected. Good. Lyra blinked. Good. He smiled slightly. They're using modern systems to track you. Yes, and you're hiding with the one species famous for doing ridiculous things. She tilted her head. What do you mean? Ella's walked to a messy drawer and pulled out several strange devices. Old transmitters, broken antennas, ancient circuit boards. I mean, he said, humans solve problems creatively. Lyra watched as he began assembling something strange. What are you building? A distraction. Minutes later, he placed the device in the window. It activated immediately. Static filled the room. Signals burst outward in random patterns. To modern sensors, the building now looked like a disaster of corrupted electronics. Lyra stared. You are creating technological chaos. Exactly. Suddenly, the station lights flickered. Outside, patrol ships changed direction. Dominion scanners struggled to understand the interference. Lyra slowly smiled. You are confusing an entire military fleet. Ilya sipped coffee. Old computers are surprisingly rebellious. But then something unexpected happened. The apartment door shook violently. Bang! Both of them froze. A deep voice echoed through the metal. Open the door. Lyra's eyes sharpened instantly. Dominion soldiers. Ilya sighed. Well, that was quick. The door shook again. Open the door. Lyra stood. Her silver skin glowed brighter. I will fight. Ilya shook his head. No. You won't. Why? He grabbed a toolbox. Because I have a better idea. The door began to melt under a plasma cutter. Ilya's rapidly connected wires across the floor. What are you doing? Lyra asked, improvising. The door exploded inward. 3 armored Dominion hunters stormed inside. Their weapons immediately locked onto Lyra. Commander Lyra, their leader said. Mission complete, but Ella's pressed a But the room exploded with light. Every machine activated at once. Screens flashed, radios screamed. Speakers blasted static. The Dominion soldiers staggered, their helmets struggled to process thousands of conflicting signals. "What is this?" one shouted. "Human engineering," Ilya said calmly. "The interference overloaded their targeting systems. Weapons malfunctioned. Armor sensors failed." Lyra moved. Instantly, with one swift motion, she knocked the first soldier unconscious. Then the second, the third attempted to fire, but his rifle shut down completely. Lyra grabbed him and threw him across the room. Silence returned. 3 Dominion hunters lay unconscious on the floor. Lyra stared at Ella's. "You defeated them with broken computers." He shrugged. "Never underestimate chaos," but alarms suddenly echoed across the station. Dominion Command had detected the fight. More soldiers were coming, many more. Lyra looked toward the door. "They know where we are," Ellis nodded. "Yep, outside, dozens of Dominion ships turned toward their sector. The entire station was now hunting them." Lyra looked at him seriously. "You should run." Ellis grabbed his jacket. "Now why?" He smiled slightly. "Because humans have a reputation." "For what?" He opened the door. "For doing extremely stupid things when someone needs help." The hallway was already filling with Dominion troops. Ellis looked at Lyra, ready to save 3-star systems. Lyra smiled. "Yes," and together they stepped into the fight. Dominion troops flooded the station corridors. Heavy boots echoed through the metal halls of Halcyon Ring. Hundreds of soldiers, armed ships filled the docking sectors, and at the center of it all, 2 fugitives ran through the station. Commander Lyra moved like lightning. Vast, precise, every motion efficient. Ellis Carter ran beside her, less graceful but extremely determined. "Left," he shouted. They turned into a maintenance corridor. Blaster fire scorched the walls behind them. Lyra glanced at him. "You are surprisingly brave." "Oh, I am absolutely terrified," Ellis replied. "Then why continue?" He held up the data core. "Because 3-star systems deserve a chance." They reached a large cargo bay. Massive freighters rested on magnetic platforms. Dominion fighters hovered outside. Escape seemed impossible. Lyra looked around. No ships available. Ilya studied the control panel. Then he smiled slowly. "Oh," he said, "that might work." "What might?" He pointed at a massive cargo launcher. The device normally fired supply containers toward nearby ships. Lyra realized his idea. "You cannot be serious. Humans specialize in bad ideas." Dominion soldiers stormed into the bay. Weapons raised. "Stop!" Illas hit the control switch. The cargo launcher roared to life. Magnetic rails glowed. Lyra grabbed the data core. "Where does this launcher go?" "Toward open space," Alilia said. "That is not reassuring." More soldiers arrived, blasters aimed. Lyra stepped onto the launch platform. "You are coming too." "Wasn't planning to stay." They locked themselves inside a cargo capsule. Outside, Dominion officers shouted orders. "Fire!" Ilya slammed the launch button. The rail gun exploded with energy. The cargo capsule blasted out of the station. Like a bullet, inside everything shook violently. Lyra held the data core tightly. "Your species is insane." Frequently, the capsule shot into open space. Dominion fighters immediately pursued. Lasers flashed, engines roared behind them, but Ella's activated another. Surprise! A signal beacon. Suddenly, dozens of automated drones appeared from the station's debris field, old mining drones, ancient repair bots, all responding to Elia's chaotic signal network. The drones flooded space like a mechanical storm. Dominion fighters crashed into them, weapons locked onto false targets. Chaos filled the battlefield. Lyra stared through the viewport. You summoned an entire drone swarm. Alilas grinned. I told you, chaos. Cargo capsule continued drifting toward open space. Moments later, a large cruiser appeared. Galactic Council patrol ship. Lyra transmitted the data core immediately. Dominion fighters retreated. The truth was now safe. Hours later, Elia sat inside a quiet council chamber. Lyra stood beside him. Several alien representatives studied them carefully. The Dominion conspiracy is confirmed. One council leader announced. 3-star systems have been saved. Lyra looked at Ella's. You helped change the fate of billions. He rubbed the back of his neck. I mostly pressed random buttons. The council leader leaned forward. Human Elias. Carter. Yes, you faced a military empire with broken machines. Correct. Why? Elias thought for a moment. Then he answered simply, because helping someone felt like the right thing to do. The council members exchanged looks. Lyra smiled softly. Later, as they walked through the station window corridor, the stars glittered around them. Lyra turned to him. You know something interesting about humans. What? The galaxy believes humans are unpredictable. That's fair, but today I learned something else. What? She looked at the stars. Humans are dangerous to evil. Ella's laughed quietly. Well, he said, we do our best, and somewhere across the galaxy, news spread quickly. The Dominion had been stopped. Not by a fleet, not by an army, but by one stubborn human and a room full of broken machines. The galaxy would remember that lesson, because sometimes the most powerful force in the universe is simply a human who refuses to give up. The end.